Hi, this is Mike making my video to add to my collection. Today is 5/7/2025 and it's 10:52 p.m. So anyway, yeah, I'm making this video to talk about manifestation. You know, whether that's material items, money, large family, a lot of friends, a lot of knowledge. Uh, you know, any number of things that you obtain. Uh, but it talks about, you know, we all share from the same inheritance. So, you know, some of us might be dealt with a hand, and we deal with the hand of cards that we deal with, or the talents that we're given. And we take chances and we develop these talents and we turn them into greater talents. Or it could be talents being money or talents being abilities. So, with that being said, you know, we have, you know, your understanding unlocks the gate. You know, so, you know, it's important to understand that, you know, your understanding is the key to it all. That's how you get the Queen of Heaven. And so you get her, and then she's part of your mind. But, you know, she's kind of your subconscious mind, but when your subconscious mind expresses itself fully, you find out that it's amazing what it can do. Uh, but it's a latent ability that we have. Uh, some of us don't awaken it our whole lives, and some of us do. But that's the key to it. You know, the Queen of Heaven uh, can give you a long life and can give you great riches, and amongst other things. You know, a great deal of inheritance. So, you know, it has to do with expanding your mind. And, you know, once your mind gets expanded, uh, you know, you can accomplish great things. So, uh, with that being said, you know, you know, you have the Queen of Heaven in your back pocket, but when you wake her up and she becomes part of you, and then you realize that, or even like the Godhead, you know, there's the Queen and the King, you know, that has to do with God being the male aspect and the female aspect being the Holy Spirit, the Queen of Heaven, and the King. So sometimes you got to take the King and then you just put him to the side, and then allow the Queen, allow her to do her work. And she has the daughters of Sophia are the liberal arts, and the liberal arts have to do with, um, you know, song and dance and stuff like that, and of course, you know, Dionysus, and, you know, basically the creative writing, uh, things like that, you know, language and abilities. So things that your right mind that deals with, and of course your left mind has to do with, you know, reasoning and judgment. But mercy has to do with your you know, compassion and strength. So anyway, you strike a balance between the two of them, and then the two minds become one, and that's when your frontal lobes take off. And you know, when the frontal lobes actually take off, you know, you can accomplish anything, and you know, you can move mountains. And you know, when your mind gets fully active, and that state of being is like you're so tweaked that you're spun, and you get to the point where you're just so wound up with energy that, you know, that's an unquenchable fire, and it means that you can't shut it off, and until it just exhausts itself and does what it needs to do. So anyhow, that's how that works. And you know, so uh, that unquenchable fire, you know, it just It burns off all the dross, and it refines your mind into pure gold, and then you got, silver and bronze, your body and your emotions, your heart, your body, and your mind. So there's that, and then of course, you can accomplish anything. And it's like, just like today, for example, I was able to get a pair of night vision goggles or binoculars for $40. I borrowed $10 from somebody. They gave me $10, and then I got some coffee today. And then basically, I started with $88, and then I got $50 worth of coffee, and then $10, so that's $60, and then so $28, I think, is what I got the goggles for. The binoculars, and I've always wanted them since I was like 15 years old, so I finally got them. And basically that could be one example, but there's many. I've had a Mercedes-Benz. I had two of them, a 12-cylinder and a 5-cylinder. So I kind of got away from the car thing, but I stuck with these optical things and watches and cameras and computers and things like that. So I find that life has been really good to me, and yeah, I've been to the top of the mountain, and yes, it was good. But I've had a taste of some good stuff, and I've had the highest highs and the lowest lows. And I'm not really excited about the whole idea of crashing and burning. I just need to keep balance. And I take lithium every day, and that keeps me calm. So, I just basically make sure my needs are being met. And then when they're being met, then I feel better. It heals me. So, that might be a missing component in your life, maybe. And then, of course, when you get that, then it heals you. It heals your mind. You can have an epiphany, a serendipity, synchronicity, whatever. Those types of things, and you might have, merchandise or talk to a certain person that you want to talk to, and, whoever or whatever it is, person, place, or thing, and then those things happen. And then once those things happen, then you heal your mind. So you go through a progression of that, and then that's how you become wealthy. And use your mind. Your mind makes you wealthy. And your mind is your world around you, like everything you're surrounded by, is an out picturing of what your mind is about. All the decisions that you've made up to thus far is an example. The main reason of everything that you've done. So you can judge a tree by its fruit, and you say, well, if I produce things, if I make money, or if I get material items, I do these things, and I experience these miracles when the wave function gets collapsed. Those types of things are examples of the fruit. My mouth produces fruit, and my hands, my labors produce fruit, and my mind definitely produces fruit. So you can create on 7 different levels. You have the 7 chakras, and then you have 7 levels that you can create from. You can create children, you can create metaphysical creatures, beings, and all that. And of course, money. I've made millions in my life, a lot, and I've lost millions. But the thing is, overall, I'm still ahead, and I have a lot of things I can be thankful for. So, anyway, that's what I do, and basically, it's all an illusion anyway. It's chasing after the wind, and they say vanity. It's chasing after the wind. Meaningless, meaningless. Everything is meaningless. And you say, well, it's really chaos. Everything's a bunch of chaos. And then when I observe it, when I have an effect on it, then that thing or those things or whatever it is appears and it creates order. So chaos creates order, but everything is in the superposition and it's all over the place. It's chaotic. But then I see it, I observe it, and I think rationalize it, and then it becomes real in my mind, and then it has meaning. And human beings are the only creatures that really can give anything true meaning. I mean, there's animals that can do it too, to an extent, but human beings are definitely the most advanced. But with that being said, um, yeah, life is good and it's grand, and it's nothing to be ashamed of. And it's nothing to be ashamed of if you have wealth. It's just something that you've earned. And when you got a lot of wealth, though, I mean, eventually you might have to give it all up and go all in. Take all your chips and go all in. And a lot of times when you do that, you get everything back tenfold. And then you have epiphanies that definitely answer all the problems that you have in your life. And they heal your mind. That's what miracles do. And they're a sign of forgiveness. So anyway, yeah, everything's a gift that you get. Even a punch in the mouth might be a person's way of trying to tell you something. So anyway, yeah, but it's all just a manifestation of the human mind. When you look at something, it's all chaotic. As soon as you walk in your room, it's a bunch of chaos, and you start looking around, everything starts to make order. And that's really what it is. There's times when you look at something and you don't really pay attention to it, you give it a cursory effect, and that thing doesn't register fully, and then you find out, or there's gaps in your perception. And somebody might say, well, that was a blue truck, and you say, no, it was green. And, really, between the two of you, one of you actually seen it and recognized it as being a certain color. It doesn't necessarily mean that's true to form, But, like even the color green, when we see it, light reflects off of it and only certain receptors pick it up. But it's really not green at all. It's actually a different color altogether. But only certain colors bounce off of it. And, of course, when you see something that's green, it's an absence of green. That's why it looks green to you. So, anyway, you start to realize that your mind is just basically a CPU that's surrounded by darkness that just has a bunch of sensory inputs. And those sensory inputs, basically tell you what reality is. But when you take the goggles off, things disappear. Everything disappears and becomes nothing. So, it's almost like it's just a big gray film that covers everything. And of course, if you don't hear anything, you don't see anything, like Helen Keller, it's just everything just devoid of anything. So, anyway, but, your mind actually processes everything. It's a very powerful computer, and it's 200,000 times more powerful than the fastest computer in the world. And with that being said, it just, your mind can save you. And when they say the light, when you're brought before the light, they're talking about the mind. And you bring it to the mind, and your mind can save you. And what you don't have can kill you, what you don't bring forth. So that's what I mean is you definitely got to have a powerful mind. Always keep your mind busy. So anyway, that's all I have to say.